September 2000, inside a crowded Sotheby's auction room in New York, collectors were trading millions of dollars for ancient Asian art. One of the lots up for bid that day was this specific piece, a bronze sculpture of the Hindu boy god dancing Balakrishna, poised gracefully on a lotus pedestal. To command top dollar, the auction house listed a pristine pedigree. According to the catalog, this Balakrishna belonged to the prestigious Belmont collection, a famous assembly of Indian art amassed by a wealthy Swiss merchant, and was supposedly exhibited in Germany in 1966. This diagram compares recorded measurements. The 1966 German catalog listed the Belmont statue at 37.7 centimeters. The Sotheby's statue is 46.3. This 9-centimeter difference proves it's a different object. The seller attached the Belmont name to guarantee a premium price. Elite collectors were bidding fortunes based entirely on a fabricated paper trail. Without that Western auction house backstory, we have to look past the price tag and ask what this physical piece of metal actually is. To understand why a seller would invent a history like this, we have to rewind to the early 20th century, when European colonial administrators and merchants were aggressively pulling artifacts out of South Asia. In the 1910s, elite European collectors began moving these objects out of the category of ethnographic curiosities and into the world of fine art. They started displaying temple icons in galleries, effectively changing how the West assigned them value. By stripping these objects of their original context and framing them as art, a new economic reality emerged. A statue's monetary worth was now directly tied to its provenance, specifically the social capital and prestige of the wealthy Western men who owned it. The fabricated Sotheby's catalog entry exploits this exact system. The modern art market places a much higher financial premium on the social status of a wealthy Swiss merchant than it does on the reason the statue was actually created in the first place. Long before European collectors entered the picture, this object began its life in the Chola Empire of South India, sometime between the 11th and 13th centuries. Artisans known as stapathis sculpted the young boy god perfectly in wax, encased it in thick clay, and melted the wax away. They then filled that hollow cavity with a molten alloy of imported copper, tin, and lead. Casting the metal was strictly an act of physical engineering. To serve its true purpose, the statue had to undergo a meticulous sequence of actions called ritual establishment. Hindu priests swaddled the raw bronze in cloth. They washed it in clay, ashes, and the 5 products of the cow, constantly reciting ancient mantras to invite the deity into the metal. The climax of this process came when the master sculptor took a sharp chisel and physically incised the pupils of the statue, an act known as opening the eyes. Through this ritual, the sculpture began to function as a temporary physical body for the divine. It was now a vessel for a living god, rather than a static bronze casting. This chart illustrates the Hindu concept of darshana, which translates roughly to seeing the divine. To provide darshana to the entire community, this living god was paraded out of the temple's inner sanctum and carried through the streets during massive festivals. These street processions served as vital community infrastructure. They generated wealth for temple priests and built political legitimacy for royal patrons. But this cycle of community worship did not last forever. At a specific, undocumented moment in history, the Balakrishna's sacred life was abruptly paused, and it was removed from the temple grounds permanently. We know this because of the surface of the metal itself. This deep green patina is the chemical result of prolonged exposure to moisture underground. It tells us temple priests likely buried the statue to hide it from invading armies, or it was taken as a spoil of war. Once it went into the dirt, the daily latherings of honey and ghee stopped. The worth it once held as a community pillar and an active living god disappeared the moment it was buried. Centuries later, the metal was pulled from the earth. It crossed the ocean, leaving its religious context behind and entering a completely different cultural ecosystem. Anthropologists refer to this as entering a new regime of value. When a physical object is traded across cultural boundaries, its original worth does not automatically travel with it. The new culture has to invent a totally new system of value for it. In medieval India, This specific arrangement of copper and tin gained its worth because a community believed it was physically inhabited by a god. This visual scale illustrates the arbitrary nature of the market. In the modern West, that exact same metal was valued only because an anonymous seller claimed it was owned by a prominent Swiss collector. Today, the statue sits securely inside the Michael C. Carlos Museum in Atlanta. Here, it has entered yet another phase of its life, serving primarily as a static educational exhibit for university students and the public. An object's value is never an inherent property of its physical atoms. A single piece of metal can be a living god, a buried treasure, a fake commodity, and a museum artifact. The value of the bronze is simply the story invented by the culture that holds it.